Hey, Big Brother fans. Well, the veto meeting popped off early Monday afternoon in the BB26 house, and Tucker Des Lauriers did exactly what he said he would do. He blew up the house. He saved Quinn Martin with his golden power of veto, and then shocked a faction of the house with the person he renominated in his place. What's funny is the difference between Tucker's plotting about the veto meeting versus Brooklyn Rivera's plotting, because she's certain she's going to win the week and come out in a position to take out Tucker in week 6 of the Big Brother. That is where her mindset was going into this meeting, because she still thought Quinn was the target. So last night, Tucker was talking with Joseph and some other allies to confirm, yes, indeed, he planned to use the POV to take down Quinn, who is not his target. He told Quinn that. I don't think Quinn totally believed it, maybe, until the veto meeting. We'll see what extra footage that CBS shut off the live feeds and is going to put on the episode. But it was more than that. Tucker knows from several other house guests that Brooklyn's been doing big bad talk about backdooring him after she wins the next head of household. Tucker addressed this on the live feeds last night about how Brooklyn told him she really feels her time is coming and she's going to win something. And Tucker said, he's like, "You're not going to effing be here." I don't know if he said that to her face or that was just his reaction. I think it was just his reaction in private. And since the chaotic hide and go veto comp, Brooklyn confessed to Chelsie that she trashed Tucker's room and ransacked his stuff for spite. Initially, Quinn was the suspect and Tucker yelled at him. And since then, the HOH talked to everybody in the house. Everybody denied it except for Brooklyn, who was the one that Joseph, Angela, and other in Tucker's alliance suspected. So I'm interested to see if Brooklyn trashing his room is brought up in the veto meeting, or he just stuck to the plan to out alliances, because he definitely did that. Quinn is off the chopping block now, and Tucker revealed he knows about the Pentagon and the collective. I think he called them out too. Chelsie, of course, is in both. And Tucker taking down Quinn also makes it look like he's the one who spilled the beans on the two alliances. There's already talk about that once the feeds came up. I'm not sure if that's enough to take the target off Tucker and move it to Quinn next week, though. It seems unlikely. So for now, Brooklyn and Cam remain on the block as 2 of the 3 nominees heading into the AI arena, and joining them is Chelsie, who's completely shocked that Tucker renommed her. Literally, Brooklyn and Chelsie were 100% certain Tucker wasn't going to use the power of veto at all. And Chelsie was feeling so secure she didn't even bother to talk game at all with Tucker the day before the veto meeting, like the rest of the house made sure to do. And Brooklyn was Cam talking about what's ahead in the game, kind of doing these villainous asides. The nicknames for her on BB social media are killing me. They're still Michael Jackson and Hee Hee. And then the fandom has added Disney villains to it with Maleficent, with a twist calling her Breleficent, and also the evil queen from Snow White. And then the latest that made me giggle was calling her Cersei Lannister too. So Brooklyn was outside alone plotting and practicing her speech targeting Tucker. And Brooklyn says, "Because you put me on the block and you did not use the veto, I will stay this week. I will win HOH and you will go home." And then her speech practicing got even wilder. And remember, this is before the veto meeting. And she was swapping to other targets in addition to Tucker. Brooklyn says, "In a house of mice and rats, who knew that there were 6 spineless snakes as well?" That speech that Brooklyn's practicing reminds me of Angela's week 1 HOH meltdown. But then Brooklyn, still talking to the cameras, said that she needs the spineless snakes votes this week, and said maybe she'll save that speech, which sounds like it was live eviction night speech, for the nomination ceremony next week when she gets to put up Tucker. But if he gets his way, as he talked about last night, she won't effing be there to make it happen. So the live feeds came back up to the house kind of splintered off into little groups, and some fallout and some scurrying. Rubina chatted upstairs with Chelsie and Brooklyn. I think it was upstairs. They're in one of the small rooms, and they defended themselves for voting to evict her. They tried to blame it all on Quinn, who told them, Rubina's going up. You need to vote her out, because Tucker was after him. And then Chelsie said Joseph was also after Tucker and Rubina. And for good measure, they threw T-Core and Chemo under the bus as well. And when they were actually the ones who flipped the vote and saved her. So irony. Tucker chatted with Mackenzie post-meeting up in his HOH room about how they were planning to vote Angela out, and then him, and then Mackenzie, and then Tucker was talking about Brooklyn popping off during the meeting. And he also revealed that he hopes Quinn realizes that him saving him is going to be what gets Quinn to jury. And then Tucker says he feels like he won't make it to jury himself because he's expecting a double eviction next week, and then says he knows he'll be out. And Tucker talked about Chelsie being the brains and Brooklyn being the talking social one. And Tucker talked about how he's felt alone and has been scrambling for weeks. And now it's Chelsie and Brooklyn's turn to feel that. Because even though Chelsea's the renom, just so you know, Tucker's primary target does seem to be Brooklyn. Although I have seen a faction of fans hoping it's Cam that goes home so Brooklyn can stay and relish her villain era and see if she can manifest that Tucker backdoor that she's hoping for. Speaking of Cam, the fandom has branded him simply furniture because he sits around and does nothing. I didn't even see him reacting to the veto ceremony on the live feeds. And of course, the live feeds only showed the fallout from Tucker saving Quinn and pulling out this blindside renom, not the actual ceremony. We'll see the drama, the shock, the tears on Wednesday's heavily edited CBS episode. And then on Thursday night's live eviction episode, we'll see Cam versus Chelsie versus Brooklyn in the AI arena. Hopefully they'll all three play hard. Nobody should assume they're safe sitting up there on the block right now. The live feeds were down for a little more than an hour, with fans waiting and wondering if we were going to come back to Brooklyn just chasing Tucker around with a knife or heavy object. And Angela, meanwhile, is practically giddy. She's in a real alliance. She's safe and protected. In another interesting moment from Sunday's live feeds, Rubina told Tucker that Brooklyn's going after Angela. This is the mom versus mom rivalry, and Tucker said, if you're going against Angela, you're going after me. He is down to protect her as long as he's there. So we'll see how it goes. Cam going home would keep the house more lively and full of conflict, with Tucker pitting himself against Brooklyn, and I'm totally down for that. But I, again, would really like to see an end to this AI arena so the backdooring can commence. Wait for the veto meeting Wednesday on CBS primetime so you can see the House react to Quinn getting Tucker's power of veto protection and Chelsea's stunned face as she joins an equally stunned Brooklyn on the chopping block next to Cam. And in case you forgot, those are the three who voted to evict Rubina last week. Tucker's little woman. He gave Chelsie a chance to confess. She didn't. He gave Cam the chance. He didn't. Only Brooklyn copped to it while making excuses, but at least she told most of the truth. All right, come back soon for more Big Brother updates, spoilers, and scoop from the live feeds right here.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.